Join me as we learn together Chumash for Wednesday, the fourth Torah reading of Parsha Shemos. Yesterday's Torah reading we read where Moshe came to Midian, met Yisro's daughters, helped them by the well, as well married Tzipporah, who was Yisro's daughter, had a child by the name of Gershom, and the Torah tells us how God heard the suffering of the Jewish people. And Moshe was now the shepherd of Yisro's cattle. Chapter 3, verse 1. And Moshe was tending to the flock of his father-in-law Jethro. Kohen Midian, who was a ruler in Midian. And he would lead the sheep. Achar Hamidbar, through the desert. And it came to be that he was by Mount Chorev, which was the mountain where God will eventually come to the Jewish people on Mount Sinai. Mount Chorev, which was also known as Mount Chorev. Rashi, Achar HaMidbar, Li'israchik min hagezel. One of the reasons why he would take them to pasture in the desert was that they should be away from other people's properties, that they shouldn't be stealing from others, that they should not be pasturing in other people's fields. El Haralikim, to the mountain of God. How was this the mountain of God? Al Shema Asid, because eventually in the future this will be the place where the Torah will be given to the Jewish people, and thereby known as the mountain of God, where God's name is blessed on it. Verse 2. Vayar Malach Hashem Elov, and an angel of God appeared to him. Belabas Eish, in a blazing fire, mitoich hasneh, in the midst of a thorn bush. Vayar, and he saw, and he gazed. Moshe saw. V'hine hasneh boyer beish, and he saw that the bush was on fire. However, something miraculous was happening here. V'hasneh einenu ukol. But the fire, the bush, was not being consumed by the fire. While it was on fire, but it wasn't being consumed. Bilabaseish, Rashi explains, bishalheves, with a fiery flame, with a blazing fire. The word shalheves is a flame, comes from the word liboy, like from the word of heart, shalaish, the heart of the fire, kamelev shemaim, the heart of heaven, belev ha'olah, and like in the heart of the tree, the center of the tree, valtisma latov, sheyesh lekayetzabai. Well, don't you ask the question why it says shalheves or labas eish? You have other places where the Torah uses the female connotation to the word heart. For example, Ma'amula Labasech in the book of Ezekiel, where it talks about how destructive that heart is. What kind of bush was this? This was a bush that was not another type of tree. Why was God symbolizing that he was burning through this fire, the thorny bush? To show that God is with them in the pain and the suffering. Just like the thorns are hurtful and painful, so too God is so showing Moshe that God is suffering with the Jewish people. Ukol, the word ukol comes from the word nechal, consumed, burnt. And it's not being burnt from the flame. Similar connotation to a past tense activity. Was not work with it. That was taken from there. Moshe sees this wondrous event, and therefore he says, Vayomer Moshe says, Osurana, let me turn away from what he's doing here, the ere, and go over and see as Hamara Agadol, this remarkable sight. Hazeh, this one that's going on. Madu Allah Yiverasna. Why doesn't the bush burn? Rashi Osurana. Asura mikan liskadev sham. When you have the word asura, let me go astray, let me go away, that means you're going away from where you are to come close to another place. Verse 4, Vayar Hashem kisar lires. When God saw that he turned aside to look, that he got his attention, Vayikra elav elikim, and God called to him, mitoich hasneh, from the midst of the bush. Vayomer, and he said, Moshe, Moshe, Moses, Moses, Moshe, Moshe. Vayomer, and Moshe replied, Hineni, here I am. Verse 5, Vayomer, and God said to him, Al tikrev haloim, come no nearer. Shal nar lecha meyal raglecha, remove your shoes from your feet. Because the place that you are standing upon, Admas Koidashu, is a holy ground. Rashi, shal, what does the word shal mean? Shloif vehitzei, take your shoes off. Like we find in other places where it says that the axe, the metal of the wood of the axe, falls off. Ki yishal zeisecha, when you'll take down your olives. Admas koidashu, meaning hamokim, the place you're on is a holy place. Verse 6. Vayomer, and God said to him, I am the God of your father. Elikei Avram, the God of Avram. Elikei Yitzchak, the God of Yitzchak. Elikei Yaakov, the God of Yaakov. Vayaster Moshe mipanav, and Moshe hid his face. Kiyari, because he was afraid. Mehabit el Elikim, from looking at God. Verse 7. Vayomer Hashem, and God says to Moshe, Ra'isi, I have indeed seen the plight. Es ani of my people. Es ani ami, the plight of my people. Asher b'Mitzrayim, that are in Egypt. Ves takasam, and I've heard their outcry. I heard shamaiti. I heard mipnei noikshav, from their taskmasters. Ki yadaiti esamoichav, and I'm very aware of their pains. Rashi 7. Ki yadaiti esmachoivav, k'moi, like God says. Vayed alikim. Why does he have to say that God knows? Of course, God knows. What's he telling us? Kaloimar, meaning ki samti leiv. I've put attention to it. Lispainen, to think about it, v'ladas, and contemplate the smachoichvav, their pains and suffering. V'lehalamti, and I did not hide. Einai, my eyes. V'leotum, I did not close my ears. I did not close my eyes, or close my eyes or close my ears. Ozdim itakasam, from hearing their pain and suffering. V'eded, and I have come. V'eded latzila, and I've come down to rescue them. Miyad Mitzrayim, from the hands of the Egyptians. And to take them up from that land, from that land, and to bring them to bring them to a land of good and an ample land. El eretz tzavas chol v'dvash, a land that's flowing with milk and honey. El mekoima Kanani, the place that's now the region of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Chiti, the Amori, and the Amorites, the Perizi and the Perizites, the Chivi, the Hivusi, and the Hivites and the Jebusites. Verse 8, verse 9. Va'ata, and now. Hine tzakas b'nei Yisrael be'elai, and now the outcry of the Israelites have indeed reached me. V'gamra isias halachatz, and I've also seen the oppression asher Mitzrayim loichatzimoisev, that the Egyptians are subjecting them to. Verse 10. V'ata lecha, and therefore now go. V'eshlachach al Paro, and I will send you to Paro. V'yitzei seyasami b'nei Yisrael Mitzrayim, you shall take my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. Verse 10. V'ata lecha v'eshlachach al Paro, and you will go take the Jewish people, my nation, out of Egypt. What's he telling him? What is this commandment? V'im teimar, if you, Moshe, will say, Ma toil, what's it going to help? V'yitzei seyasami, that you, what's it going to help? Because so therefore God says, I'm guaranteeing you, that you will be the one. Your words will actually make an impact, and you will be able to take the Jewish people out from there. Verse 11. And Moshe said to God, Mi anoichi, who am I? That I should go to Paro. Do I have the merit that I can take the Jewish people? And by what merit can I take the Jewish people, the Israelites, out of Egypt? Rashi, mi anoichi, meaning, who am I? Why am I so special that I should be able to speak to people of great kingdom? Even more so the very fact that he was in danger of death. He was almost killed by Pharaoh. Another reason, and even if you're going to say, I'm so important that I can go talk to kings, why were the Jewish people? What did they do so special that they should have a miracle that should take them out of Egypt? Verse 12. So God responded, for I will be with you, and this will be your sign that I will be with you, that I have sent you, because when you will take the Jewish people out of Egypt, they will all serve God on this exact mountain that I am talking to you right now. Rashi, verse 12. Over here, God is responding to Moshe. God is responding to Moshe on his two issues. On the first one, first that he says, who are you to speak to Pharaoh? And number two, why the Jewish people meritorious that they should be able to come out of Egypt. So he says, number one, the fact that you said, who are you to go to Pharaoh? Lo shalchahi, that's not your errand. Ki mashali, you're coming in my name. It's not because of who you are, it's because of who you're representing. I'll be with you. The very fact that you saw this vision of me in the burning bush, this is a sign to you that I sent you, and you are going to be successful in the errand. And I have the ability to save the Jewish people from everything. Just like you see this burning bush. You see this bush is consumed with the fire and it's doing what I need to do, what I asked it to do, and its message. But at the same time, it's not being consumed. So too, you can go to the king of Egypt and tell him what to do, and you were afraid that you might get harmed. You're not going to get harmed by it. Now to your second question. What merit do the Jewish people have that they should come out of Egypt? You asked what merit do the Jewish people have that they should go out of Egypt, so I'll tell you. The very fact that they're going to come, Davar Gadol Yeshli ba'alitzazu. I have great benefit, they have a great merit that they're going to come out of Egypt. Number one, because they're going to be receiving the Torah on this mountain. After 3 months, of them being out of Egypt. Davar Acher, another way to explain this verse. I will be with you. This that you will be, this is the guarantee that God is telling him that you will be successful in your errand. This will be the sign that about the second promise that I'm going to give you, which is when you take them out of Egypt, they will serve me on this mountain. What's the service that they will serve me on this mountain? They will accept the Torah. That acceptance of the Torah, that is already a merit for the Jewish people now that they should be deserving to go out of Egypt. Even though, yes, maybe right now you're going to ask what their merit is. Eventually, this is your sign because on this mountain they will receive the Torah. Similarly, we find this kind of language. This will be your sign, where it talks about the blessing that will come to the Jewish people after the fall of Sancherev. That over there he talks as well, the very fact that Sancherev will fall, then you know that the second promise will happen as well. That your land will now have won't have any fruit because they're going to be destroyed by the kingdom of Sancherev. And therefore I will bless that they should be able to have fruit and they will grow afterwards. So we see a similar terminology later on by Sancherev where God says one promise is contingent or will be seen based on the other promise. And Moshe said to God, I'm going to come to the Israelites. And I will tell them, the God of your forefathers sent me to you. When they will hear this, they're going to say, they'll say to me, Mashmoi, what's his name? What kind of God allows his children to suffer in the land of Egypt for so many years? Who is he? Where was he until now? And when they ask this, what should I tell them? 14. So God says to Moshe, tell them that I shall be just as I shall be. That means I will be with them in this exile as I will be with them in the future exiles as well. Meaning that God didn't ignore them, as we'll soon see Rashi explains. And he says, so you shall say to the Israelites, I shall be sent me to you. What's this ayah that God is talking about? And he says as follows in Rashi 14. I was with them. I was with them in this pain and suffering. I will also be with them in the future exiles that they will have. Amr lefanov. So Moshe, when he hears this, he tells God, Ribeina Shalom, Almighty God, Mani maskilam tzara acheres. Why should I mention to them about other pain and suffering? They're barely dealing with what's going on right now. It's enough that they're suffering right now. I have to tell them that there's going to be suffering later. Omar loy. So God says to Moshe, Yafa Marta, you're right. You said well. Koi Seimer, and therefore God continues and says, Eya Shlachani, I that was with them sent them to you. And God continues to say to Moshe, further says to Moshe, Koi Seimer l'bnei Yisrael, so you shall say to the Israelites. Hashem Elokei Avisechem, the God of your forefathers, the Avram, the God of Avram, Elokei Yitzchak, the God of Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, the God of Yaakov, Shlachani Aleichem, sent me to you. Zeh Shmi Li'olam, this is my name for all times, to be concealed. It's not something which you see, but it will be by the final redemption. Zeh Zichri L'der V'der, and this is how I am to be recalled for all generations. What is he's telling us here? So Rashi tells us, Zeh Shmi Li'olam. If you look at the word Li'olam, it's missing Chaser Vav. Meaning my name that is concealed, that you're not supposed to read God's name the way it's written. Yud Kei Vav Kei, we don't read it and pronounce it as Yud Kei Vav Kei. We read it as the name of Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud, Adnai, not in the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei. V'zeh Zichri, and over here Moshe was taught two names by God. The first one, Shmi, and the second one should be one that has to be written and one the way it is remembered. Limda, he taught Moshe Heyach Nikra, how God's name is mentioned and recalled, and so too, telling him how it should be said and how it's written. So too, he says by David, Hashem Shimcha Li'olam, God is your name for eternity. Hashem Zichrecha L'der V'der, Hashem remembers you for eternity. It should be recalled for all generations. So you see again this alluding to in Tehillim about the different names of how we recall God's name and how God's name is written. This concludes the fourth Torah reading for Wednesday, Parshas Shemos.